Character clash. Ready?
Round 1.
Physical skills.
The Grand High Witch of all the world, or simply the Grand High Witch, known as Eva Ernst and Lilith, with her deceptively fragile appearance, with physical abilities worthy of a walking nightmare, could make her nails grow like sharp claws, which could effortlessly open cans of sardines, which is quite useful at an impromptu picnic or overly curious Hogwarts students. Hermione may be agile thanks to her nightly escapades at Hogwarts, but the Grand High, which has centuries of experience jumping through windows to catch children. Although Hermione can levitate objects, the Grand High, which can fly without a broom. Although her baldness makes her aerodynamic, her prominent nose compensates by balancing her center of gravity. Imagine a race between them, Hermione panting with her wand, and the Grand High, which cackling as she soars through the skies. At least Hermione has the consolation of having hair. For now. Plus, she could easily rip open a door or manipulate any heavy object with a slight movement. Of course, when it comes to speed, well, let's just say aged is an understatement. With her supernatural strength, she could lift Hagrid like a feather. Who needs strength when you can turn your enemies into mice with a simple spell? Hermione may not have claws, but she's more of a book athlete. So years of carrying books heavier than herself have given her surprising strength. But don't underestimate her. Her years of running through the halls of Hogwarts gave her stamina. And her agility in dodging spells at Hogwarts has made her a master of magical parkour. While her unruly hair could be considered an aerodynamic handicap, it works as a natural airbag in falls. Her agility isn't bad, though between her and the Grand High Witch, we'd bet Hermione would go farther if they both had to run from a mouse. Her wand prowess makes up for any physical shortcomings. She may not be able to lift Hagrid, but she sure can throw a Wingardium Leviosa at him.
Round 2.
Combat skills.
The Grand High Witch is the master of stealth, disguise, and deception, able to infiltrate a bald man's convention without raising suspicion. She can blend in with the muggles like an elegant lady. Her ability to create lethal potions would make even severest Snape green with envy. With a snap of her fingers, she can make her victims evaporate or turn into sausages. Imagine the chaos she would cause in the Great Hall at Hogwarts. Her ability to smell children from miles away is useful for avoiding child ambushes, though useless against adults with good deodorant. In hand-to-hand combat, her claws are lethal, perfect for scratching that itch on your back that you can never reach or disemboweling enemies, whichever comes first. Who would suspect a bald old lady with gloves? Although, be careful, if her wig falls off in the middle of a duel, she could lose the element of surprise. If Hermione isn't careful, she could find herself turned into a mouse in no time. Hermione is the most brilliant witch of her age, able to cast a stupefy faster than her own shadow. Her stealth is legendary, especially when it comes to sneaking into the forbidden section of the library. In combat, her arsenal of spells is more varied than Bertie Bott's flavors of jelly beans. She can petrify enemies, make them levitate, or simply bore them into submission with historical facts about the Goblin Rebellion. Her ability to conjure attacking birds is particularly useful against foes with bird phobias or feather allergies. She can petrify basilisks or take on Death Eaters. As for stealth, she could use her invisibility and silence charms, or remember the time turner? She can literally be in two places at once without anyone noticing. Although her idea of stealth sometimes involves hiding behind a huge book in the common room. Mind you, compared to Eva's sheer malice, her charms can seem a bit juvenile. But if mental speed counts, Hermione is quicker at improvising. Her only weak point in combat might be if someone threatens to burn down the Hogwarts library. And if all else fails, she can always fall back on her secret weapon, a sermon on the importance of following the rules.
Round 3.
Survival skills.
The Grand High Witch survives almost by default. Her dark magic and longevity have made her resistant to many threats, except children and chocolate. I mean, she's so sensitive to them that she melts with hatred, almost literally. Her ability to blend in with humans is impeccable, as long as she doesn't have to take off her gloves or shoes. The Grand High Witch is a master of survival, able to thrive in the harshest of environments, such as witch hunter conventions or parent meetings at elementary schools. Her ability to transform others into animals provides her with a steady supply of food, though it probably tastes questionable. Her resistance to disease is legendary. Whoever heard of a witch with the flu? Probably due to centuries of drinking potions of dubious provenance. In extreme situations, her wig can serve as an emergency nest or fire starter. Her obsession with gloves might raise suspicion on a tropical island. In a Survivor, Wizarding Edition situation, Hermione would probably win. And if all else fails, he can always resort to cannibalism. Of children, of course. Who said survival had to be ethical? And don't even mention his deadly allergy to garlic. One poorly chosen pizza could be his downfall. Hermione is the type who would bring a magical first aid kit to a picnic. Her survival skills during the hunt for Horcruxes, camping in forests and escaping Death Eaters. She can conjure food, though not out of thin air, thanks Gamp, create fire, and has a magical tent that is basically a portable apartment. Her ability to improvise with magic in risky situations is undeniable, and her wits give her an advantage in any hostile terrain. Plus, the ability to quickly learn about any threat, like an evil witch, could help her identify their weaknesses. Come on, this Gryffindor has survival instincts in her DNA. Her ability to find food in the forest is questionable, unless the books are edible, but she can multiply existing food. Her biggest drawback: she might die of boredom if she runs out of books to read. And be careful about offering her a house elf as help. She might lecture you on SPEW instead of accepting. In an emergency, her hair can serve as a nest for lost birds or a sponge to soak up water. And if all else fails, she can always recite a history of Hogwarts until her captors free her out of desperation.
Round 4.
Unprepared.
In an unprepared fight, the Grand High Witch would go straight for the attack with dark spells and an attitude that's scary to look at. She's like a cornered stray cat, dangerous, unpredictable, and probably rabid. Her natural killer instinct keeps her ever alert, ready to turn any unwary person into a rodent at the slightest provocation. Her arsenal of potions always on hand makes her fearsome, though there's a risk that she might mistake her power potion for her hair tonic, which could result in a bout of sudden baldness rather than a display of supernatural strength. Her ability to improvise curses is impressive, though sometimes her rhymes leave a lot to be desired. Twist of fate, a rodent's fate, you're a mouse, it's too late. Isn't exactly Shakespeare, but hey, if it works, it works. Her experience in centuries of witchcraft gives her an edge in unforeseen situations. However, if the confrontation takes place in a spa or hair salon, he might have trouble keeping his disguise on. Imagine the horror if someone tries to give him a foot massage or take off his hat. But his disdain for muggles, or less dark wizards, may make him lose sight of the fact that Hermione is no ordinary opponent. Still, the initial surprise would play in his favor. However, Hermione's reflexes, honed by years of being around Harry, Trouble Magnet Potter, should not be underestimated. Her experience facing unexpected dangers with Harry and Ron has prepared her well. But if the showdown occurs during final exams, she might be too stressed to think clearly. Her repertoire of spells is extensive, and she can conjure everything from magical fire to attacking birds in the blink of an eye. Her wand, practically an extension of her arm, is always ready to cast an Expelliarmus or a Wingardium Leviosa. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa, by the way. If the Grand High Witch attacks her by surprise, however, Hermione might need more than a few spells to avoid turning into a rodent. The flying battle would be a sight to see. Spells, wigs flying off, and probably the occasional cat accidentally turned into a teapot. In the end, It would all come down to who could say their spell the fastest. Formula 8-6 or Stupefy. His greatest weakness in an unprepared confrontation might be his inability to resist the temptation to correct the grammar of his opponent's insults before counterattacking.
Round 5.
With preparation.
Given time to prepare, the Grand High Witch becomes the magical equivalent of a James Bond villain, with schemes within schemes and traps more elaborate than a maze designed by MC Escher. Her arsenal of potions would rival the inventory of a wizarding pharmacy, each one more twisted than the last. She could concoct potions so deadly they would make basilisk venom seem like pumpkin juice. She would likely set up magical traps all over the battlefield, turning the ground into a swamp of quicksand or filling the air with spores that transform anyone who breathes them into a toad. Her plan would likely include infiltrating her opponent's environment, perhaps disguised as a new defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts. Although, knowing her luck, she might end up teaching Muggle studies by mistake. Or it could involve an army of children transformed into various animals, creating the most disturbing zoo ever seen. And just in case, she probably has a make-you-young and attractive potion ready, because even evil witches have their moments of vanity amidst the chaos. And if there are any forbidden potions or spells, she won't hesitate to use them. The only thing against her is that she underestimates any lesser adversary than a dark witch, and that could cost her dearly. With planning on her side, Hermione would be unstoppable. She would have a master plan and her most powerful spells ready to counter Eva's dark arsenal. It would be like giving Batman a year of planning and unlimited access to Amazon. She would probably spend days in the library, researching every known witch weakness and memorizing anti-baldness and pro-baldness spells just in case. Her strategy would include contingency plans for her contingency plans and a detailed schedule of the showdown with scheduled tea breaks. Her enchanted bag would be filled with books, potions, and magical artifacts, organized alphabetically and color-coded. She would brew Felix Felici's potions, conjure impenetrable magical wards, and have a collection of spells ready so varied that even Dumbledore would be impressed. Her enchanted bag would be filled with useful magical artifacts, quick reference books, and of course, an emergency supply of every flavor of jelly beans. His only weakness: he might waste valuable time trying to convince the Hogwarts house elves to join SBEW before the big showdown.
Round 6.
General data.
Grand High Witch. Physical skills 6. Combat skills 8. Survival skills 7. Unprepared 7. With preparation 8. Total 36. Hermione Granger. Physical skills 7. Combat skills 8. Survival skills 8. Unprepared 6. With preparation 9. Total 38.
Final round.
Conclusion.
In this magical battle of wizarding proportions, Hermione Granger emerges as the narrow victor, literally. Her combination of intelligence, versatile magical abilities, and experience in high-stakes situations give her a slight edge over the Grand High Witch. While the Grand High Witch has centuries of experience in dark magic and hunting children, Hermione has faced threats ranging from mountain trolls to Lord Voldemort himself. The Grand High Witch is a relentless and fearsome dark force, her confidence in her absolute evil taking its toll against an opponent who takes every fight seriously. But Hermione makes up for it with her vast knowledge of spells and ability to think quickly under pressure. While the Grand High Witch might try to turn Hermione into a mouse, our Gryffindor heroine would likely have already conjured an anti-transformation shield and would be reciting the full history of evil witches and how to defeat them. Plus, the fact that Hermione has friends willing to help her, unlike the Grand High Witch, whose only friends would probably betray her for a vial of Formula 86, tips the balance in her favor. And as Ron Weasley would say, bloody hell, Hermione beat the Bald Witch. Who would have thought? Well, everyone who knows her, I guess. The moral of this match: even the Grand High Witch should think twice before underestimating a know-it-all like Hermione. In the end, it seems that knowledge and intelligence can overcome even the darkest magic. And perhaps the Grand High Witch should look into some new hobbies.
Are you sure that's a real spell?
Do you agree with the result? And if not, tell me why. If you like this video, please subscribe, like and share.